The Big 12 Experience Head Coaches Power Ranking Edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is offering plenty of markets this week for the PGA Championship that you can't find anywhere else. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Wednesday, May the 15th. And, we got a good one for you. I'm sure everybody will agree with these power rankings because nothing stirs the pot like power rankings. We're ranking the head coaches in the Big 12, a.k.a. the Big 16. But first, if you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And joining me talking Big 12 year-round, well, a guy that's a walking contradiction because he was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa. He lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. Not there currently, but he is the co-host of the Ryan and Rush Show. He is Rambling Rush. What's up, Rush?
Looks like West Virginia, Penn State. Nice big noon kickoff.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens when you win 9 games. All of a sudden, you get a nice little time slot. So can't wait. Countdown is on. Less than 4 months away. Can't get here soon enough.
Cannot.
But, hey, third man in the box. You guys know him because he's always fighting a family civil war in the Big 12. Got some members going out. Got some members coming in because he's got family in Stillwater, Waco, Fort Worth, down in Orlando. He is the Big 12 guru, a.k.a. Troy Tuning. What is up, bro?
We got members going everywhere. We got family members moving around all over the map, too. So who knows? The Big 12 is just going to be like an amoeba that's like some years it's going to be very, very – it's going to eat a bunch of people up and it's going to look real big and strong. And then some years it's going to look like, oh, look at that wimpy thing out there. Like nobody can even really define it. Sometimes it's going to be truck stop heaven. Most of the time, I would say that's probably what it's like.
Yes.
But again, yeah, we're doing power rankings here. I'm a Pac-12 homer now. I put 2 Pac-12 teams at the top of my 1 power ranking so far this year. So I'm a Pac-12 homer, and obviously don't know anything about Phillips 66 or any of the nice old school gas stops in the middle of the country anymore. So I'm just a West Coast guy now. I'm out there with Colby and them. Yeah, I'm
start calling you Troy. It's not
put my hair and get it dreadlocked and surf around places. Get a stupid long one of those stupid long skateboards like this. The normal size skateboards are stupid as fuck, anyways. But like the super duper ones that are long and stupid that you can't even like do tricks on. Yeah, that I need one of those now.
Well, I didn't say the other part that used to be your intro, or it still kind of is your intro. It just depends on the day. The green mowing, weed growing. Now you're just the tree hugger.
Yeah, I don't have to change anything about that.
On them West Coast teams.
I'll have to start like standing in front of golf courses with like stop making 75 acres of natural growth occur with fertilizer because I'm a stupid dumb fuck.
Your new favorite mascot's the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, the Cardinal. Well, am I saving it or smoking it? Because if you saw me pull out the lighter, you'd see the Cardinal. The Cardinal's eyes are already like real big. The tree for the Cardinal's eyes are already real big. You see him look over like, oh my God, are you gonna use that on me? I mean,
we're gonna start call you ACC Troy.
Yeah, let's do mascot power rankings. Number 1, Stanford Cardinal looks like Dank Nug. Just like in parentheses, sweet gelato nugget.
Gelato nugget. All right. That's enough talking about Stanford and the ACC. This isn't the ACC channel. There is no ACC channel because nobody gives a damn about that league. But I can tell you what they do give a damn about is hoops. So get on over there if you're looking for more ways to watch some hoops. Check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, which is back this week. Plus, did you know they're giving away every single podcast SGPN releases all in one place? Just smash the SGPN network feed wherever you listen to your podcast today. All right, let's go, baby. Let's get right into it. We'll do we always do. We always go reverse. So we will lead it off with your number 16. And you know me, I'm not the most organized guy in the world. I will do my best to keep it in the same order. We will lead it off with Rush.
Everyone's favorite, 16. Scott Satterfield, baby. He's only going to be missing Emory Jones this year. Troy and I were shitting on Scott last year. Honestly, I mean, in the grand scheme of football, decent coach. He belongs at like an App State. What he did there was awesome, getting them from the FCS to FBS. Didn't do great at Louisville. Have no idea what Cincinnati saw in him. And Cincinnati actually has a history of having some pretty great coaches coach for them. To me, this always just seemed like a holdover guy, kind of as they got adjusted to the Big 12, and then they'll figure it out from there. But 3-9 last year. Like I said, his quarterback didn't help him out at all last year either. But I gotta stick Satterfield in the basement, and I'll do my best to remember this. But maybe we'll talk about this at the end. Like, do we want a little throw, like a hot seat candidate for may not be back next year? Because
there's like 6 of them.
Let's do that at the end. Let's
at the end. Okay.
I got a segment.
That's actually tomorrow's episode. How hot is your seat power rankings?
Yes. Troy, number 16 for you.
I have Brent Brennan, mostly because I don't know a goddamn thing about San Jose State. And also all 4 of the Pac-12 teams are 16 through 13. So all the haters can suck my balls. I will not be ranking one and outside of the bottom 4 for the rest of all these power rankings. I don't want people to start thinking that I'm a Pac-12 guy, but Brent Brennan also mostly because the Jed Fish, the step down is pretty big there. I think Fish is, bowl win over Oklahoma shows you about how good he had the team prepared going into the end of the year. So that kind of scares me losing him.
Okay, so you got Brennan. I'm with Rush. I got to go Satterfield. 500 at Louisville. Everybody wins at Louisville. Go down the list. Petrino, Smart. In his first year that Scott Satterfield's not there, they go to the ACC title game. I mean, it's
that too.
And he takes over Cincinnati, which had been knocking at the door to playoff. I know he had to rebuild a little bit. They're coming in the Big 12, which was a different transition, but I got to go Satterfield 16th as the worst coach in the league as of right now. 15 Rush.
We'll go good old the Arizona State head coach, Dillingham. It is his alma mater, but before going to Arizona State, head coaching experience, was 3-9 as well last year. I know they were kind of planning that, and I think the school was in trouble as well with some things, but to me, this definitely just seems kind of like another holdover guy till they can get someone better. Herm Edwards, that he wasn't necessarily fully a disaster. He did okay, but like the way they handled his situation on the way out was a disaster. Arizona State, this kind of goes beyond the head coach. Like, they got to get their ducks in a row. But in the meantime, there's just not really a track record to go off of, and the one that's available is 3-9. So number 15.
For me, 15 is also Dillingham from Arizona State. Didn't want to make the Arizona fans too mad. Arizona State is slightly above you, but that's only because of I've actually seen Kenny Dillingham coach, although that might scare me away from him more. Actually, now that I think about it, I should have put Brent at 15 just based on, blank slate versus I've seen Kenny Dillingham suck. No Satterfield for me yet, but you might have to break the mold. I don't know if I can really go with all the Pac-12 coaches coming over as the bottom 4. There's a couple of guys that I think they're going to break through and prevent maybe a sweep here in the bottom 4 for the Pac-12.
Yeah. You ready to stir the pot? Number 15.
Here we go.
Hall of Famer, Deion Primetime Sanders, number 15. I actually thought Arizona State got better as the season went along with Dillingham. I thought Colorado went in the complete opposite direction. I know he had success at the HBCU. He also had by far the best roster year in and year out. I got to see it from Dion. I think that thing is going to be a complete dumpster fire. I do not believe in the way that he's conducting his program, that it's sustainable year in and year out. It's more of an experiment to me. I think he's just winging it, hope it works, hope his kid can be the number one pick of the draft, and who knows what after that. So Colorado, Dion is my number 15. I thought they got worse, ran off his offensive coordinator. Thought he did a shit job last year from about after week 2 on when they stormed the field and acted like they won the Super Bowl against Nebraska. I thought he did as bad a job as anybody last year. So Dion, number 15 for me.
14, I'm going to go Brent Brennan. He did some good things at San Jose State. It took him a second. His record may not be an indication of obviously his success. I mean, obviously he goes from there to Arizona, so it has to speak beyond the record. He did a good job turning that program around, but we need to see a bigger body of work, right? Is this going to be Scott Satterfield, or is this going to be like a Lance Leipold? Like this, he does have potential. He did a great job. Not all of Arizona going into the transfer portal, but we got to see a body of work and what he can do in this new Big 16, Big 12, whatever you want to call it. So that's why he's number 14 for me.
Yeah, 14 for me is going to be Scott Satterfield. I moved him up 2 spots because he got lucky enough to get Emory Jones off of his team this year. So addition by subtraction there for Satterfield in the offseason, just, finally releasing the little baby fish that you've caught on the hook 2 or 3 times. And you're like, this isn't really going to impress anybody, but I don't have any other fish. Just let that one swim away. Just maybe play without a quarterback instead of Emory Jones. Wildcat might have worked out better. But now we'll get to see maybe Cincinnati. I don't know. Maybe they win 1 close game or 2 close games this year.
Okay. I went Dillingham as my number 14, and I kind of touched on it. I actually thought they beat Washington State. They beat UCLA down the stretch. It's a shame they played Colorado at the beginning when he took over a dumpster fire at Arizona State. I thought they got better. So based off of last year where both him and Dion were in their first years at this level, I thought Dillingham did the better job. So I'll go him at number 14. Rush, number 13.
Number 13, Kalani Sitake. Obviously, as many of you know, I was raised a BYU fan. So I know this program quite well. And we'll talk about this more at the end of the episode, but I've also been very vocal about this, so it's not a spoiler either. I do not think he will be the head coach next year. I think Jay Hill will be the head coach of the BYU Cougars starting next year. I don't think Sitake is necessarily a bad coach, but I think he just gets outmatched a lot. I don't know if he has that fire in his eyes. You can't start a season 5-2. I know it's your first year in the Big 12, and then lose your remaining 5 games and not make a bowl game. Like that's ridiculous. There was, he's been there a little while. There were times where BYU had concerns with him. I don't know if how hot that seat is right now, but personally for me, I think we're really going to see kind of more his true colors this year, and he's going to kind of fade into the light. I think his best days are behind him. And like I said, while he's not a terrible coach, I don't think he goes up from here. You can't go 5-2 and lose your last 5 games. You can't. And he did. And some of those games, they weren't even close either. I guess the Oklahoma State game that they choked away at the end, that we all watched it. But the West Virginia game, which obviously ended up being great, the Iowa State game, you can't be losing, especially at home at night.
Yeah, but to get bowl eligible, you can't let Oklahoma State come back in that game the way they did. Not even kicking a field goal or anything at all for the last, 20, 18 minutes of the game. They couldn't even score for the last 10 minutes of the game, just a field goal.
We
were watching it unfold all together, and the whole time Rush is this is the easiest halftime money line bet of all time. You might as well go Oklahoma State. It's at such big value. They're probably going to come back and win. It's BYU, and lo and behold.
Course. It happened. So unlucky 13.
I was gonna say it's funny. My 13 is also I kind of went the Rush route here. Not that I put Sitake at 13, but I put Aranda there. I put Sitake not to really ruin anything. I put him just above Aranda, but it's
We're
probably
on the same
because
page,
I
Troy.
watch Baylor all the time, and I'm like, this is fucking horrible. What is Lex Luthor on chemotherapy doing out here on the sidelines? Like, oh man, I think Aranda definitely has a chance to turn it around, and I do think Sataki probably has a chance to kind of step back and become more of the manager style of a head coach, and maybe let his coordinators take over. But I'm not really sure if, I mean, Aranda's a little more involved, and he's supposed to be a defensive guy, and we haven't really seen that from Baylor. One year he was able to put together a nice defense that actually, really in college football, you're just looking for a defense that looks like it's giving effort and hustling from sideline to sideline and tackling. And if you can't put that together as a guy that's supposed to be like a linebacker focused defensive dude, why would we trust that you can put anything else on the football field together? Why are we counting on this guy for who he wants to hire on offense and stuff like that? It's just, not really impressed with Aranda. One off year seems to be the outlier.
Yeah, I got Aranda at 13 as well, Troy. I mean, three out of 4 years. You have a losing record. You have a losing record overall at Baylor, 23-25, 15-21 in Big 12 play. I thought about actually putting him below Dion and Dillingham, but I'm just going to put him at 13. That's where he is for me. Real quick, let me hit an ad, and we'll get into 12 on the other side. But first, we got to talk about NYRA. Bet the second jewel of the Triple Crown with NYRA bets. Sign up today with $200 bonus with SGPN 200. Join now to claim your 200 bonus at the Preakness at nyrabets.com/SGPN. Feed your competitive edge with live money handicapping contests nearly every single week. Enter the Friday Feeder contest to earn your entry next to $300 contest, plus win cash prizes and seats over at NYRA Bets Saturday contest. Registration closes before the Belmont at Big A, third race post time at the end of each contest. Get in and get your bonuses at nyrabets.com/SGPN 200. And we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play alongside your favorite teams, players all season long at Underdog Fantasy. Available in 30-plus states, including California, Texas, Canada. They just launched their champions, including player versus player in the great state of Florida. Troy, you got anything on the NHL front?
Yeah, I have kind of a little simple one here. I think in the Avalanche Dallas Stars game tonight, we're going to see quite a bit of scoring. So I went with the higher on Georgiev's saves. And then I'm also going with the higher on Cale Makar's points and Wyatt Johnson's points. I know Wyatt's been scoring basically a goal a game, but Cale Makar just had his first playoff game without a point in the last game. And for me, that's like a Raekwon level. He's coming back out there to score probably a goal and a couple of assists. So going with those three.
All right, get on over there. Higher, lower. Sign up today. Promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick with first time deposit up to $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. All righty, we're back on the Big 12 College Experience, and we are getting into our our coaches' rankings for the Big 16. We're at number 12. Rush, back to you.
Picking up where you guys left off, this is where I had Aranda. I was with you too, Troy. Maybe Ryan, you're in the same boat. Did the whole Sataki Aranda, but they're kind of the same thing, and they probably have a similar fate after this season. That all the points you guys said. Aranda number 12 for me.
Yeah, Sataki's 12 for me. For 12 and 13 basically interchangeable. Doesn't really matter. This whole group up above Scott Satterfield for me, until noted, is kind of it's kind of that tier up above the very bottom for me. But I do see Sataki's seat burning hot already.
I got Stocky at 12 as well.
Yeah,
I mean, they kind of feel like they're more of a decline. The only thing I will say, it was their first year in the Big 12, so maybe a little bit of a break we give them, but still, I don't like the direction that they're headed in, as Rush has told us multiple times. So, Rush, number 11.
Yeah, just real quick, last thing about Sataki is I agree you can maybe give them a little break with them being the Big 12, but you can't be 5-2 and then lose your last. Like, that's what it is. If it was like they won a couple, then lost a couple, then like that, then yeah, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But sorry, a little bit of that BYU passion still lies in there. You know, I am surrounded by a family BYU fan, so it sometimes rubs off. But anyway, I digress. Number 11, got to keep him out of the top 10. I agree, Ryan. Deion Sanders. I have completely changed my opinion on Deion. At once, what I thought could be a great role model for a lot of players, a father figure. I now have concerns that because Deion, I'm really concerned that he's not humble and lacks maturity and just keeps doubling down. And I just, we need to see something this year from him. I mean, he's getting a lot of attention. I like the attention he's bringing to the Big 12. I'm glad Colorado's back, but he's got to at least make a bowl this year. And then we can, talk about it. But dude, you can't. Started out hot last year, and that's great. You can fool everyone the first couple of games. I mean, especially TCU wasn't as good as we thought they were going to be. Nebraska is Nebraska, and then Colorado State. If Colorado State goes for 2, we could really be having a different conversation right now. Obviously, blew it against Stanford. I got to keep Deion out of the top 10. I need him to do something this year. This is his year to not up or shut up.
Yeah, I also have Deion at 11. I think he's probably one of the guys on here that has the most room for both upwards and downwards movement. Like by the end of the year, we could think of him as like, oh my God, this guy's basically Scott Satterfield, but really loud. Or he could move up into that top 8 or 7 range for me. I think if he, wins a couple of unexpected games, he's got the talent at the quarterback position. You probably should be going bowling at a minimum. Like Rush said, anything else would probably be considered a bit of an underachieving year for him. I would be scared of that Nebraska game, like we mentioned in the team power rankings. I would be scared of that for sure. After running it up on them and then talking all off season, everyone's going to be rooting for Nebraska. Could be bad.
Yep. So 11, I went different than you guys. I know you guys had this guy low, but I thought he took over a very, honestly, a shit program in San Jose. And I thought he made it a lot better. And I thought he maximized what he could get out there. And I think with Satterfield, we know what Satterfield is. If Satterfield was coming off the App State, he'd probably be in this range where the unknown, but we know what he is at the high major level. Deion, we don't know. Dillingham, we don't know. Aranda and Sataki, we kind of know what we're getting. I don't know what we're getting with this guy, so I'm going to go Brent Brennan at number 11. I think he could be the right guy, but I just don't know. I'm just going, he did a good job, well-earned promotion here. So I'll go Brennan at number 11 for me as kind of the wild card at Arizona. All right, top 10, Rush. Lead it off.
Joey McGuire.
Woo.
Disappointed. Yeah, I know. But, this is actually pretty stacked.
It's a good league. It's a good
not falling for the glue factory 2 years in a row.
But with that, yeah, no kidding, right? You learn from your mistakes. I think he could definitely be higher on the list next year. But they were supposed to have that big season last year. Lost to Wyoming, lost to Oregon, a game they shouldn't have lost to. And I know they dealt with little injuries, right? Shug, whatever. You're still figuring out that pronunciation. Got hurt against the Mountaineers. And Morton had to come in. I don't think Morton's a bad quarterback. I think he could be a good game manager. But I need to see more from him. I know he can coach, but he's 5-11. So we'll see. But I have to keep him at 10 right now.
At 10 for me, I got Fritz. Mostly because I actually saw him compete at the probably as high as you can get with Tulane. And then now he's kind of in a position where I don't know if he can really succeed, but I also don't know if you can hold it against him for he's probably locked into his job for at least 3 or 4 years, because the first 2 years, how are you going to be able to judge him until at least the end of that second year, maybe even halfway through the third? So I've got him a little high. Impressed with him from Tulane more than Brennan at San Jose. I know probably had a little bit more in terms of available money at Tulane. But I think if there's anybody that's going to take a bunch of dummies that weren't ready to be, Division I starters and now they're thrown in the fire, maybe he can get lucky with them at Houston.
All righty. I thought about Fritz, but I really like Fritz. No homer here. Neil Brown, number 10 for me. I just
too low.
Kind of. I knew you were going to say that. I kind of to Rush's point. Neil's got to show it to me another year. He's coming off bat. Let's remember, sure. I know last year was great for us. We overachieved, West Virginia fans, but he had back-to-back losing seasons before that. He's 31-29 with the 9-win season, 20-24 in Big 12. So it's not as good as it seems, but it's also not as bad as it seemed last year. It's somewhere in the middle. The climb last year was a good step. Show it to me another fucking year, and I'll bump you into the top half of the coaches. But as of right now, I can't put Neil above any of these other guys. Honestly, his first 4 years were underwhelming, but I'm happy with the direction of the program now. But you can't come back and go 6-6 and expect me to just say, oh, that's all right. No, it needs to be another 9-win season. Rush.
This is where I have Fritz, number 9. What he did at Tulane, Troy, you said it exactly correct, that he did as much as you could possibly do at that stage without having a power job. I mean, he did better, obviously, than a lot of coaches with power jobs. It's going to take time in Houston. We can't have this second year hold it too much against him. At least his first year here, he's figuring out what he has and what he can do. But Houston's in the Big 12 now. They're in Texas. They should have the ability to get a good team together here in the next couple years. So I think Fritz is the guy to do it. He's clearly shown that he can build a program and turn around a program. Now it's time to do it at a power level. I like him a lot. And that's why I have him at number 9. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does at Houston.
Number 9 for me is McGuire. Having one slot higher than where Rush had him, mostly because I thought Texas Tech was a bit overhyped last year, and I think that the overhyped of what the team is being held against McGuire. When in all reality, I think that they probably performed about as they should have. I don't think that they, went out there and really underachieved. I just think that their expectations were significantly too high. And maybe he's a Gundy guy where you need the years where you think you're only going to win 5 games, and that's when he busts out a couple more wins than you're expecting. But I do think he's a pretty good coach. I think that Tech is moving in the right way with Joey McGuire there.
I got McGuire at number 9 too. So we're all kind of seeing McGuire. I think he's a good football coach. Obviously, when he left Aranda his whole program went to shit. So, but I just also with McGuire need to see a little bit more. You're 15-11, like Rush said. You're 5-4 back-to-back years in the Big 12. You've been good in bowls. You've been just solid. I need to see a 9-10 win season if I'm going to move him up. So give me a McGuire, Mr. Texas. Great promoter, great energy guy for that program. Mm-hmm. So McGuire, number 9 for me. Rush, number 8.
Stays close to Tulane as well. This might be controversial to some. Maybe it's not. And there's a reason I have him right in the middle. Gus Malzahn. I think this is a very pivotal year for him. I think he does what KJ Jefferson gets there. They have a really good year. And next thing you know, we shoot him up in the rankings next year. I think maybe he starts, getting a little old, not as sharp as he once was, and he falls down this list. I think this is a very pivotal year for Gus.
With the kind of guy that Gus Malzahn is, he could be BYU's next coach. He fits all the personalities that they're looking for out there from the Mormons. Number 8 for me, this one kind of low, but I think he was kind of carried by a lot of experienced guys in his first year. I've got Sonny Dykes at number 8. I don't want to say that he's a bad coach, but I still don't want to reach out there and say that this guy is awesome and great and going to take any college team and make them compete, because I think he's just a step below that. And I think that the expectations again at TCU were a little too high for what their team was, just coming off of a national championship berth. And you see having an experienced quarterback is everything. So TCU could be SOL yet again.
Troy, I got another one with you here. I got Sonny Dykes. I think people also forget that he was 19-30 at Cal. He was 30-18 at SMU, did a solid job. He's 89-72 as a head coach. So he's good. He's a good head coach, but he's not going to be the guy I think that takes TCU to the promised land year in and year out. I think I know TCU fans will hate here. I think that run was a one-hit wonder is what I'm trying to say. I don't trust him to sustain. I'm not asking him to go 13-2, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to go 8-4, 9-3 year in and year out. I think it's a boom or bust type program with him. I got Sonny Dykes at number 8.
7. This is where I have Sonny Dykes. I'm with you guys. For me about Sonny Dykes, that was a great year, obviously getting into the national championship. I do think he is a really, really good coach. My concern with him, and maybe this is probably leans more into just feeling it, because some of these rankings you got to just kind of feel them and think about their fit, and you can run all the data points you want, but sometimes you got to do the eye test. And my concern with Sonny Dykes is I sometimes don't know if whatever he's saying resonates with his team. He just seems a little, I don't know if out of touch is the right word, because that may be a little strong, but he comes I think like what I said, it just doesn't fully feel like it's a perfect fit there. I think they can have a little bit of a bounce back season this year. Maybe they go 8 wins, 7 wins. I don't see him I'm not putting him as necessarily a candidate for hot seat, but I don't know if he goes another 2 to 3 years beyond TCU either. He kind of just seems like, he's okay. Like he'll get us to a bowl game, and that's it. One hit wonder was a great explanation, Ryan. But yeah, Sonny Dykes is number 7 for me.
Troy?
My 7th coach is going to be Gus Malzahn. I see a lot of upwards possibility movement for him, like Rush was mentioning. I could definitely see KJ Jefferson looking a lot like Cam Newton, and we can revert to this quarterback power kind of option here more often and really keep chains moving for that team that wants to go really, really fast. So I could see him moving up just right now. Couple of guys in the league that have really shown that every single week they're going to compete, and there's not really, Gus Malzahn, you still have a chance for a stinker at any point in time. And, some of these top 5 coaches in the league, you're not going to see stinkers out of them unless it's, a non-con in a year where Gundy just doesn't give a shit. But yeah, I guess that goes against everything.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree on the top 5 unanimously. I actually had Willie Fritz at number 7, and kind of what I talked about with Sonny Dykes, McGuire, and Neal before this is I haven't seen them sustain. I've seen him sustain it at Tulane. I've seen him sustain it at Georgia Southern, going 9-3, 8-4. I've seen him sustain it at Sam Houston. Now, I think he's got his work cut out for him. I think Troy and I had them at 15-16 in the power rankings. But I don't think coaching is going to be the problem. I know coaching is not going to be the problem at Houston this next year, where Dana sometimes, as much as I love Dana, you didn't know if they were ultimately prepared to win or lose that game. They were going to be entertaining. But honestly, Fritz's track record kind of reminds me of Lance Leipold's, where he was a head coach at high school, then the NAIA, D2, D3, Division I at the low major. Now he's finally getting the high major. I like Fritz. I think he's going to do a good job there. I'll put him at number 7 and have more confidence over some of these other guys that haven't sustained it yet. Rush, number 6, before we get in the top 5.
Nice guy, Neil Brown, baby.
Oh, God.
I'm probably splitting the difference between you guys. I was really impressed with Neil Brown last year. Ryan, I completely agree with you. He needs to back it up. Something that we were concerned about when he signed that contract extension back when they had a good 2020 year. But he really was fantastic last year, and I think he's in the position, if he has another year like he did this past year, if he backs it up like you say, Ryan, he's not going to be the coach at West Virginia. I honestly feel like he probably won't be the coach at West Virginia either way. If he has another good season, he's going to go to like an SEC school. Someone's going to pick him up. If he doesn't, I think West Virginia might have had enough with him too. The way they restructured his contract and everything like that, it's kind of worked for both sides. I think this is one way or another. I think this is Neil Brown's last year at West Virginia. I really do. I'm leaning towards, I think it's going to be a great season. I'm looking forward to big noon kickoff against Penn State. I actually have a really good feeling about that game. I think there's something to be said when he retains all this talent like Aubrey Burks and Donaldson, like guys that we just assumed were going to be out of here after this season. And I mean, there's something to that, retaining those guys. Clearly, we didn't lose a lot in the transfer portal really at all. And the ones that we did lose were because of probably playing time or they want to be starters or get more money. But in the day of the transfer portal era, if you're able to retain most of your team, especially that being a football team, there is some sort of culture buy-in there. And I think Neil Brown's finally coming around to that. So that's why I have him at number 6.
Let's go. Troy?
My number 6 is Lance Leipold. I was pretty impressed with him last year. You lose who we think is a Heisman shortlist kind of guy, even if he's not invited. He's a spark plug to your offense on every single play. And you still really compete. You beat Oklahoma. You take the fucking goalpost to the goddamn lake and throw them in there. And they still won the game the week after too, didn't they? We were
yeah, they went to Ames and won.
Yeah, we were all on the we're gonna fade the goalpost drop, and if you're a good enough coach to motivate a team after a big win like that to still go back out and get another road win, you kind of got something to you. But I do want to see him do it. I want to see him sustain it in the Big 12, but I have a feeling that he's going to. I have a feeling that Kansas's team is going to look pretty good this year.
I like it. I went Malzahn here. I actually think Malzahn's a little more consistent than people give him credit for. Take out the 12-2, 2013, and then take out last year. Every year is 8-4 or 9-4 or 9-5. Like it's always 8 or 9 wins. So you know what you're getting with Malzahn. It's going to be you're going to win the games you're not supposed to. You're going to lose a couple that you probably shouldn't lose. It's going to be entertaining. And when expectations are the least is when he's at his best as well, kind of like Gundy, as Troy said. So give me Malzahn at number 6. This is a big year though, coming off the 6-7 first year in the Big 12. The new 4 newcomers last year kind of struggled. So big year for those guys this year. Rush, lead us off in the top 5.
Top 5. This is where I have good old Lance Leipold. It's totally changed the culture at Kansas. Incredible coach. Kansas is now interested in just more than basketball. Need to see. It's been a little interesting with him and Jalen Daniels and his availability. We talked about it, felt like there was a little more there than just an injury, but clearly he didn't transfer, so maybe there's not. He did a good job, and Jason Bean did a good job last year, and Lance stepped up there, of course. Need a solid year from him again, but clearly he's Kansas's coach for life. They found their guy. He's, I think, in a perfect situation, and hey, this has a very real possibility of being maybe the year for Kansas football to do what they did back in 2008. And it's because of Lance and dramatically changing that culture. So have him at number 5.
My number 5 is Chris Klieman, kind of sticking with the 2 state schools coaches being ranked right next to each other, like Arizona and Arizona State at the very bottom. I have Leipold and Klieman here at 6 and 5 because I think we did see enough out of both of them coming from, what we would consider smaller programs than the Big 12, but maybe really not. Somebody like Chris Klieman had built a program that was kind of, would be considered pretty big nowadays. You got NFL quarterbacks and stuff that you're doing something right. And I think we see, the continued upward trend of Kansas State, just gritting it up in a league that is kind of known for quarterback play.
I went Matt Campbell at number 5, and obviously I have nothing but good things to say about Matt Campbell. I think he can coach with the best of them. Mainly just because they have taken a little bit of a step back as they kind of hit their peak there in 2020, but still runs a really good program. They bounced back after that kind of fluke year where they lost all those close games, managed that gambling scandal where they had to kick off a bunch of guys, Matt Campbell, 35-15 as well at Toledo. So sustained winner. Give me Matt Campbell at number 5. Rush for number 4.
Number 4, this is where I have Klieman coming in. Kleiman's been interesting of late. Obviously, we know his history as a head coach. He's been very successful, and Kansas State has absolutely the chance to win the Big 12 like they did recently. I'm curious how it's going to be with Avery Johnson. I know Kleiman's kind of been doing this 2-quarterback system. We'll talk about another coach coming up here that likes to do a multi-quarterback system, I'm sure. But I'm curious to see how he'll be if Johnson is the guy and his main quarterback and stays healthy all year, how it's going to look with kind of just this one quarterback. So I think Klieman has I had him number 1 last year. He's number 4 this year. Obviously, we had another Big 12 season under us, and we've had 4 new coaches come in as well. So that changes things a little bit, but nothing but respect for Klieman. And I think maybe you guys feel like this too. 1 through 5, at least top 5, top 4. Ask me on a different day and I could switch 1 or 2 around. Like, I think the margin between these coaches is so like thin that, I mean, it's not as substantial as, Sataki to Gus Malzahn. Like that's way more substantial. So, but hey, Chris Klieman, number 4.
Yeah, I have Matt Campbell at 4 for all the same reasons that Mac mentioned. Just a kind of a cog of consistency there in Iowa State, no matter what gets thrown at him. I mean, the gambling thing that was obviously first reported by us last year was a big people didn't want to listen when I first told you guys that it was a bunch of dudes were going to get suspended because they were betting spreads on their own team. And lo and behold, you lose the starting quarterback, that old Elite 11 guy, and Iowa State's still out there making it to the second to last week of the year, still possibly trying to compete to get to fucking Dallas. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, Matt Campbell, no matter how bad his underbite gets, still a hell of a coach.
At number 4 for me, sorry. I was doing something. I got Lance Leipold. Multiple national champion, won 5 national championships at the Division III level. Actually won 6, sorry. At Wisconsin Whitewater, took over Buffalo, elevated that program. And then the coaching job, the culture of what he's put at Kansas in just 3 years. 17-21. Don't look at his record. Look at what 2 wins to 6 wins to 9 wins. That program was in a complete dumpster when he took over. So Lance Leipold at number 4 for me. Number 3, Rush.
Good old Mike Gundy. I love Gundy. He's the definition of Mr. Big 12. Great season last year, getting to the Big 12 championship, and especially the way things started with the 3-quarterback system, and he's still not opposed to doing that again this year. So that's why I have a back, maybe from the 1 or 2 spot. Hey, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. If you have 3 quarterbacks, I don't know what you got. You might need to be playing baseball, but clearly I guess he cares more about the Big 12 title than, and he experiments around. It's definitely interesting. I know I don't have to remind Troy this, but the poke choke can be a thing. It's sometimes would have been nice to see maybe Gundy step up a little bit in some spots or do a better job playing with a lead. We know he's great from behind and grinding it out and that sort of thing. But yeah, Mike Gundy, number 3, our favorite.
Mike Gundy, doggy style guy, great from behind.
Troy, where you go at 3?
Number 3 for me is Kyle Wittingham. The only reason why he's not going at 1 and 2 is so I don't get looked at as a Pac-12 homer. He's a great coach. Everything about him says number 1 or 2, but there's actually 2 guys that I'm way biased towards, so they're getting ranked above you. Sorry.
I got Klieman. Honestly, when I looked at Kleiman's resume and I looked at Leipold's resume, they kind of look the same. 4 national championships at the Division 1A level at North Dakota State. And then, of course, he comes over to K-State. He's been consistent outside of 1 year which was the COVID year. They won 8 games every year. They were a fucking missed extra point from going back to the Big 12 title game. They should have beat Texas. It should have been K-State, Oklahoma State, but the kicker missed it. Who knows? He might be number 1 if that kick goes in. That's how small the margin of error is in the top 5. So give me Klieman at number 3, Rush, number 2, and number 1 for you.
Number 2, good old Matt Campbell. What he does at Iowa State is absolutely incredible. Had a gambling scandal last year, and it somehow helped him. Doesn't use the transfer portal. It's totally turned around the Iowa State football program. I mean, Ryan, we remember, you'd play Kansas and you play Iowa State. Oh, you at least got 2 wins in the Big 12 schedule. But that's not the truth anymore. And then number 1, Kyle Wittingham. It doesn't feel good putting the Utah guy at number 1.
Ouch.
But you can't deny greatness, and he is great. He's a fantastic coach. So really excited that the Holy War is back in the Big 12. The Big 12 saved the Holy War. And hopefully Taki does get the better of Kyle Wittingham. But hey, got to call it like it is and have him at number 1.
Do you think maybe Hunter Deckers was taking the cocktail napkin lines from Noah and that's what got him fucked up? Maybe Hunter Deckers. That's what we need. We need Colby to get the intro. This is Hunter Deckers from Iowa State, and you're listening to the College Experience. That's what we really need. 2 and 1 for me. So this was hard because I wanted to put one guy at number 1, but I just couldn't quite do it. So my number 1 is still Gundy. He's the man. If he was allowed to open carry on the sidelines, he would. I'm surprised that he doesn't have like a co-branded Oklahoma State OAN polo shirt that he wears to coach in. Just everything about him is very, very truck stop. He one of the few people in the world that loves Stillwater. Not to make any of the Oklahoma State fans mad or act like Stillwater is a weird place, but there's a lot of people over here in the East Coast corridor that probably couldn't make it 48 hours in Stillwater without like blowing their brains out. And number 2 for me is maybe the best coach, Neil Brown. Neil Brown at number 2, maybe a little low. He's the best, man. I told you he's going to get an extension. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be there, Joe Paterno. He's going to coach at West Virginia for like 35 years. And we're just about to get to the point where Neil Brown is winning 9 and 10 games every single year at West Virginia.
So I got Wittingham and Gundy left, and I was torn. I'm not going to lie, because I'm like, these are both, I love both these coaches. They both think about it. I don't think people realize how similar these guys are. Wittingham, since 2005, is 162 and 79, 160 in the Pac-12. Gundy, since 2005 at Oklahoma State, 166 and 79. He's 102 and 63. They got the same amount of top 10 finishes, but the Big 12 has been a better league than the Pac-12 throughout that era. Last year the Pac-12 was better than the Big 12, but not throughout the last 15 plus years with Texas and Oklahoma and other members that have had really good teams. So multiple of those Pac-12 programs were down. So by default, and a little bias here, Wittingham, great coach. Love him. He's number 2 for me. But number 1, and the reigning champion, got his team to the Big 12 title last year, and he's going to win it this year. Mike Gundy, everybody. There he is. Subscriber to the Big 12 College Experience. Coach Gundy takes my number 1 head coach in the Big 12 back-to-back years, and Troy's as well. What'd you have, Matt Rush? 3?
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
wonder what our composite rankings look like. They're probably pretty similar.
They are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can do that after. And we could do a graphic. But everybody's other than Neil. Neil was the only one that was a little
outlier. Neil.
I should have put Neil at 1.
Yeah, fucking Neil. We better fucking not go 6 and 6 or we're blaming you. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I see 200 plus people tuning in right now. Make sure you subscribe, like this channel. Go subscribe to all the other channels that are doing good work. College Baseball Experience with Noah Beanick. College Basketball Experience with yours truly. Breaking down Big 12 hoops year round. Best league in the land. College football. Those conference previews are right around the corner. And go check out the Main Sports Gambling Podcast Network as well. Real quick, over under, we talked about the hot seat. Over under how many coaches will not be coaching their programs next year. Via being fired. We won't say I guess Neil technically could be fired if they go 5-7, but how many coaches get fired in the Big 12 next year?
Just fired. They don't
yeah,
we
fired.
Think they get...
Yeah.
I would say the number would be 2.5.
I was thinking 2.5 to 3.5. I'm going to say 4.
I think three are pretty likely.
Yeah.
Between, Sataki, Dave Aranda, and maybe even Scott Satterfield.
I think those 3 are almost certain.
I think 3. How many are not there, though? 5?
I mean, you guys think Neil Brown's ever leaving? That's so sad.
Is Dion going to be there past this year?
That's what I'm wondering, too. I honestly... I'm
or Gus Malzahn.
Hot take. I think something's going to happen to Sonny Dykes after this year. I don't know if he goes to. I don't know. I don't think he'll be there next year either. That's my There's always that one, right? That you're like, oh, they fired this person. Maybe they were a little quick to that. I could see that being Sonny Dykes. I'm going to go 4. My prediction is Satterfield, Sataki, Aranda, Sonny Dykes. In terms of pure fired, I'm not including if Neil had a great season and goes and coaches, somewhere else. Just straight up fired.
Yeah, I think between those 3, I would say this is probably the hottest take of them all, but you have to look out for Matt Campbell. If there's another weird scandal that goes on, the school might not want to deal with that, regardless of how good of a coach he is.
Fired for performance, I'll say, or we'll say.
Yeah, I'm trying to grasp at some guys that could get fired. I mean, maybe Gus Malzahn if UCF really stinks it up and they're expecting, a good quarterback play out of KJ Jefferson, and it just doesn't look that great. Maybe they move on from him. But besides that, I'm not sure. I did see Gundy's house was up for sale on Zillow. Jimbo sent it to me. It looks exactly like a house that you would think that Mike Gundy and a bunch of kids that like to hunt live in. It's hilarious.
He better not ever fucking leave.
I'm pretty sure it's just because his kids are all out of the home, so he's kind of downsizing.
Watch out for Lance Leipold. If he wins, he gets a better job. I think that in terms of coaches that would not be at their schools next year, he would not get fired. He never would get fired unless, of course, I guess you can't say you would never not get fired. You could some sexual, or you say something racist, or I don't fucking know. There's always a way you could get fired. Even, well, maybe not Gundy. Gundy will never get fired, but he can do.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to Gundy. His approval rating goes up. He's like Trump when he says something that's on the edge. His approval rating skyrockets in Stillwater.
Yeah, he knows how to toe the line. Gundy, baby, subscriber to the Big 12 Experience. Hey guys, we're just getting started over here. We got other rankings. We got quarterback rankings. We got home field rankings. We got tailgate rankings. Next thing you know, we'll be doing previews for all 16 teams. For all you 4 newcomers out there, we preview each and every team, going top to bottom, who you got, who you lost, your schedule, prediction, over, under, Big 12 future odds, national championship, maybe, with the expanded playoff. We cover it all on the Big 12 and basketball as well. So make sure you subscribe to all channels on the College Experience. He is at Troy Tuning. He is at Rambling Rush. I'm at Moneyline Mac. We are the Big 12 College Experience, and we are out of here.